All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Monday's call. We are so excited today and so honored today to have a special guest. This call is always designed for people who are trying to build their business to FIBC and above, and people who are really engaged in strategies and learning the best skill sets in order to move their business forward. And no better today than our special friend, Integrated Presidential Director, Kim Fiske. Kim, thank you so much for being willing to join our team today to share your wisdom, share your story, and share all the things. We have some good questions for you, and we'll just let you run with it. Thank you for joining us today.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. It's very nice to be wanted, actually. So thank you. And how long is this call? We could go all day, but how long is the call?
I did forget to kind of preface you that normally we just go 10 to 11 and we kind of wrap it up and run long. And if things are rolling and you're open and we go longer and you're cool with it, we try to say, okay, if you're done at 11, that's all we really need.
Okay.
That's our goal.
Okay, good.
Cool. Well, thanks for being willing. And a lot of people on this call are fairly new to Take Shape for Life. Not everybody, but some of them are fairly new to Take Shape for Life. They didn't get to really see you in your heyday when you were on stage and you were teaching and you were training and you were doing all the work that you did. And your room was always the most packed room, and everyone had to sit on the floor all the way around the sides, and it was a fire hazard everywhere. And so one of the things that I always love to start off when we do these kind of things is we want to hear a little bit about your story. We want to hear about when you found Take Shape for Life and what you did, and kind of walk us through. And, in the hour, we'll walk through up to where we are today and like what you attribute to your success and what worked really good, what's better, what's best, what didn't work, what you found that people might be doing that you found to be less effective. And just to kind of give us an idea of how for everybody to make their business super successful. So does that sound good?
Sounds awesome. I'm ready.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's just start with, we'd love to hear your story, starting from when you found Take Shape for Life, what you did, how things happened.
Okay. Well, it's actually 10 years. Middle of July, a friend of mine called, kind of out of the blue. This was the days before Facebook. These were the days before texting, smartphones. I think the iPhone is 10 years old. So, it was like back in the flip phone days. So my friend called and out of the blue, hadn't seen her for years. And I think she had some little bit of a bogus reason for calling me now that looking back, but it worked. And she told me her story and I was desperate and said, you know what, I'll try anything. Same, familiar stories that we hear. And so I remember we lived on the coast in Oregon, very small town. My husband commercial fished, that was our living. And so he was very seasonal. He'd usually fish about 6 months out of the year. I had 2 of our 4 boys still at home, younger, and was very busy and active in life. In music, I've had a background in directing music and theater and singing and performing and all that. So the younger 2 boys were very involved with music, piano lessons, and I started a youth theater company just because there wasn't a lot of opportunities for them. And so I was busy doing a bunch of stuff in church and in the community. And so this friend called. I said, what the heck? Joe was leaving to go fishing, and I didn't want to tell him that I was doing this. And he goes out like 2, sometimes 3 weeks at a time. So I thought, you know what? This thing's only going to work. I'm only going to try it. It's not going to last probably a week. I never lasted a week on anything I'd ever tried. So I said, I'm going to give it a week, and I'll have it all sent back with the refund coming by the time he gets home from fishing. So that's exactly my mindset when I started. And anyway, so by the time he came back from that trip, my first week, I lost 13 pounds. I mean, it was the most miraculous. You guys all know, that kind of stuff is now pretty much, we hear it all the time. But back then, for the person having it happen to them, it was very miraculous. And it was funny because my sponsor, Becky, my health coach that called me, she was saying while I was waiting, I lived in Oregon, so it took about 10 days to get my stuff. And she would call and say, well, Kim, there's this thing happening in Keystone, Colorado. like next week was the end of July, and it was national convention, and sorry, and I don't know how to do anything. I'm at my mother-in-law's house, so I don't know how to get rid of any of these noises. But anyway, okay, there you go. So she kept saying, Kim, this thing's happening in Keystone, Colorado. I lived in a little small town in Oregon. And I'm like, and I'd done network marketing before. And I actually saw some success. Over the years, I'd gotten a free car with Mary Kay in 6 months. I'd, gotten to the top of other companies before, but I never really made any money. Got a lot of tax deductions and great experience, great personal development. But so I was like swearing these things off. Like, no. I'm not going to Keystone, Colorado, Becky. I just maybe want to lose some weight. That's it. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like, and she was so great because she, I got my stuff and she'd check with me my pre-start call. Well, Kim, the company is pretty young and you've had some experiences before, and that thing in Keystone, Colorado. No, I'm not going to Keystone, Colorado. Well, guess what? I went to Keystone, Colorado. I do like green eggs and ham. So I hope you guys know that book. If not, I just sounded like a complete moron. Okay. So yeah, and I did. In fact, I said, you know what, with my experience, with my knowledge about how and I did have a belief in the network marketing business model. I had a very strong belief in it, but I just never had enough success to justify the time. And my husband would kid me and say, Kim, you could have bought 2 new cars for the amount of money you spent to earn your free car at Mary Kay. And that was absolutely true. So, but I thought, well, you know what? This is easy. And you know what? And so I went, any of you at that, I can see so many people in my screen right now, but by chance, were any of you at that convention at Keystone? Raise your hand. Anybody? No? Okay. So this was me at the convention. And if you go to convention, which I'm hoping you all are going this year, don't even think you're not, unless you've got some huge, wedding or that was prearranged. And if that you can get them to change the wedding, that'd be great too. But, if you were going to convention, this was me. Because here's what I didn't want, probably because of my past experiences. I didn't want the BS. You know what I mean? I didn't want to just talk to people that were being paraded on stage, because of course they're going to just put the superstars on stage. I knew that. So I would go to the people in the back row and say, hi, I'm Kim from Oregon. Tell me your story. And remember, at this point, I was only in my 2nd week. So I'd only lost 13 pounds. I'd only lost 13 pounds. And nobody could tell I'd lost weight yet, by the way, by looking at me. But it didn't matter. I was just really wanting to know if this is something for real. Who are these people that are in charge? What's the integrity? What's that? Because I knew that was going to be a big determinant. So I wanted to know from real people. So I'd say, what's your story? And they'd start with their weight loss or whatever. And then I go, okay, well, how long have you been a coach? Oh, a year. Okay, how much money do you make? You guys, that's exactly what I did. I didn't care. It's like, how many clients do you have? How many hours do you work? And how much money do you make? So if you feel comfortable asking people that, I suggest you do it, because, where else can you go? In fact, let me just put this little thing in right here. This company is a blessing and a curse. It's a double-edged sword, because we make more money than we deserve. You would never make this kind of money in any other network marketing company that I know of on the planet without doing huge amounts of personal development first. You would have had to overcome a ton of fear already. You would have already had to deal with a ton of your stuff to earn the money you're making. And I'm just generalizing because I have no idea what any of you are earning right now. But if you're an executive director, to make even that money at another company, in another network marketing company, you would have already had to do a ton of internal work. And what happens in this company, I've noticed over the years, is that it's so easy, right? It's similar to the weight loss part. It's so easy at first that it takes you by, you go, wait, you mean, because now you can just throw up before and after pictures on Facebook, can't you? Oh, how many coaches have I worked with where they're going, Kim, it's okay. I don't have to do the scary thing by picking up my phone and following up. Like, people are throwing their credit cards at me just from my posts on Facebook. This is easy. No, Kim, I don't have to do that hard stuff. Sorry. Yeah, you got about maybe a year. Maybe a year. And then it's over. You've won the lottery, okay? You're going to be a lottery winner. And then reality's going to hit. And then you got to decide, am I going to do the hard stuff? Am I going to do the internal work? Am I going to face those fears? Am I going to do it anyway? Am I going to really dig deep? Because in the beginning, you don't have to, especially if you've had a really phenomenal transformation, physically in yourself. People are going to come up and throw credit cards at you all the time, right? Anybody experience that so far? Yeah. So I'm just telling you, the day's coming. If you haven't done the work, don't think that you're going to get away. It's not going to make us, because it just depends on what you want. Do you want to build a sustainable business, or do you want to win the lottery? You know what I mean? Like, you can win the lottery, or you can do the work to make it sustainable. And that's what I love about this business model, is because you're only going to go so far based on, you're throwing up your pictures on Facebook and getting clients. Now it's like, how do I attract leaders? How do I mentor coaches? Those skill sets are very different. Have you guys noticed? Yeah. And that's where the internal work inside yourself comes into play, is to build a business, not just build a client support, not just a client business, but a team. So, okay, where was I? Sorry, I left my...
That's okay. That was good. We were hearing you went to Keystone, and you were asking people about how much money they're making and all that stuff. And then tell us, after that, you decided probably I'm going to rock and roll with this thing. And then what happened after that?
Okay, thank you. Gary knows me that even if I'm in front of a room, I'll go, hey, where was I? Help me out here. And people will yell from the audience. I love it. So no, Keystone was really critical for me, because it really made me go, well, first of all, I got to meet real people, but second, then I got to see the company, and I got to see Dr. A and Dan and the leaders. I got the feeling of the integrity of the actual company too. So yeah, that was the end of July. Came home August 1st, actually became a coach August 1st. I wasn't a coach when I went to Keystone, because I really wanted to, and back then it was $300 to become a coach. So yeah, August, and Brian Drollinger was a mentor coach for me. And, he told me at Keystone, go make your list of names and then go talk to those people. And then, you're going to want about 25 clients to make ED. So I went, okay, well, so here's one of the things I always taught you guys from the beginning. And it probably came from my past of experience of what I learned, success principles that I learned and other things. I called it lines on paper. I think you guys, there's now a thing in the world of Take Shape called the map. And it's the similar thing. It's something where it keeps you, it clarifies what you want, gives you something to focus on. And then when in the time you have to spend, you go, okay, what am I going to do? Well, you already know. You don't have to sit there and go, oh, what should I do now? I'm really busy, but I've got a half hour I could spend. You know exactly what you want to accomplish. So lines on paper, I numbered my paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 25. And I kept it. Let me just grab my mother-in-law's thing here. But I had a planner. I kept a paper planner with me. You guys could do it all electronic if you want. But on my paper planner, every day, at the beginning of the month, I had my lines on paper of 25. And I didn't know what names are going to go there. I just said, sure, why not? Let's just shoot for 25 clients by the end of the month. And let's just see what happens. That'll be fun. I didn't know what names were going to go there, but I committed to talking to 5 new people a day. And that is actually what I did in August. And every single day in my planner, I would keep track of who I talked to. And I made a lot of mistakes. Hey, I learned a ton that first month, even though I thought I kind of knew a bunch of stuff already. I knew that sending people to my website was not a good idea. Like, nope, that doesn't work. And so I came up with another way to just give them a little bit of a teaser. Some of you might know of this process that I called connections, and it actually included a collecting yes strategy, where I called it collecting yeses, and then that kind of morphed into the connections process. And all it really was just me telling my story to people. I didn't call them I learned this the hard way, because I would call people going, hey, Susie, oh my gosh, you know what? This is what's happened to me. And maybe you're struggling with these things too. And maybe you might want to know about this. And sometimes it worked. And other times I got like hugely cold response on the other end. Because why? I was calling that person. Remember, calling was our only option back then, other than seeing people in person. So this flashback to 10 years ago when there was no Facebook, okay? And if you really wanted to get the word out, you made your list of names, and I would sit there at my desk and go, okay, Joe out on the ocean, dying, getting hit by freighters. You know, you've seen The Dangerous Catch, right? So that was my picture of my husband every summer. Or maybe this is going to help get Joe off the boat and give us options. And I would pick up the phone and I would do it. But I learned a lot by just doing it. And oh, that worked. Oh, that didn't work. Another little preface for you in your notes. Hold everything as a science project. Do it for data gathering. Stop the judgment about it. Oh man, I suck. I'm so bad. I can't do this. I'm not good at this. Do you hear the judgment you make on yourself? But if you would hold it like a petri dish experiment, like, oh, well, what worked in that conversation? What didn't work in that conversation? Instead of the judgment. Does that make sense? Hold everything as an experiment. And then you go, well, okay, next time I won't do that. Because guess what we have plenty of, you guys? People. There's like 240 million just in the United States. So you could blow through 100 of them and still be, oh, look at how good you'd get just from practice. Consider everything just practice. And then I also did confirm the truth that you cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. And you cannot say the right thing to the wrong person. Did I say that right? Did I say it using both sides? Because honestly, the conversations I thought I sucked the most in, or that I just barely like, blah, 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 the people would just go, I don't care what it is, Kim. Here, do it. I go, well, you don't even know anything about it. I don't care. So what does that tell you from a scientific standpoint? That some will and some won't. And it really has very, very little to do with exactly how you say something or exactly how you could blubber the whole way through and people are ready. So I came home in August, and another little preface for you. I knew that if I wanted to go fast, which for me, that is just my speed. It's painful for me to do it any other way. You don't have to do it fast, and you don't have to be that way. Do it how you are. But for me, I had to keep track of people because if I wanted to go fast, I knew that a lot would slip through the cracks, and then I wouldn't serve them or me, for my goals or serve them at all. So that's why I kept track of, in my planner every day, I kept track of my 5 for sure. Those were new people. Those didn't count follow-ups. And those didn't count new clients that were going to start that I needed to do pre-start calls with. And I didn't have a full-time job. So just watch your monkey mind that's going to comparative reality here, okay? You don't have to do this exactly like this. But the point of it is commit to, number one, what you want to accomplish. And don't get all like panicky about it and stressed about it. Like, oh no, if I don't do that, I'm a failure. Oh no, if I don't do that, people are going to think I suck. So that's how our minds are wired. So just guard against that. Stay in fun. Stay in, well, what this? I would just tell people, just stay, what if it could happen? Just stay, what if? It could just be fun to do it. Let's just see what happens. But commit to what you want to see happen for fun, and commit to the daily actions. Because see, that's the thing that happens is people go, how many of you have sponsored coaches that have come in and go, oh yeah, I'm going to be a presidential. I'm going to be a presidential. Okay, well, why don't we just start with getting your first 5 and just getting your feet wet? Why don't let's just start with, none of the leaders on my team started, well, maybe Jamil, but pretty much everybody else on the team started with I don't really care about that. I just want to help a few people, or I just want to pay for my food. That's all they start with. And don't freak them out, you guys. Sometimes I think we start people based on our goals. Okay, let's go. Let's get your map laid out. Let's get to ED your first month. Let's get to, you want to be a global bike convention? Okay, let's, Oh my gosh, that poor new coach thinks it's exciting for a minute. And then the chatter starts like, oh no, what did I just do? Oh no, they have expectations for me now. Oh no, I'm going to let them down. They stop being about their fun and they start worrying about you as the mentor coach. There's a segment here I really want to talk to mentor coaches for sure, but maybe I'm still back in August of 2007. So yeah, filled my lines on paper, obeyed my planner. That's my big thing. Have a place where you keep track and you schedule what you're going to do. Schedule it and obey it. So when I would do my follow-up calls, which most of them, if my memory serves me, didn't answer the call when I called on their follow-up. You guys experience that? Do people not answer when they say they're going to? Yeah. Well, instead of, again, making that about how much you suck or that you're bugging them or that they're sick of you or they hate your guts now, none of that, which is true, by the way. You just say, well, and I would say this on my voicemail. I'd say, hey, Susie, this is Kim. Just had us down to talk today at 4. But you know what? You probably got really busy. Something came up. I know how life is, but I'm a slave to my planner. I had it in my planner to call you or my schedule to call you. So I just do what it tells me. So I just called you. Didn't want to drop the ball. Those phrases I said all the time. I'm a slave to my planner. Didn't want to drop the ball. So what is that message sent to Susie? Let's say she didn't want to talk to me for some reason. Let's say she did feel like she didn't want to tell me no, and she didn't answer the call. I don't really care. She knows that I'm a person of my word and that I do what I say I'm going to do. And I didn't make her feel bad about it. I didn't go, well, you said you were going to talk today for what, so I don't know, maybe I'm bugging you. Like, no. Why would I think that? Because I'm not. So see what I'm saying? What we think is projected. So guard what you think. Guard how you are interpreting all this data you're gathering. Your interpretations are going to kill you more than the reality of it. The reality of it is the reality. What you decide is the reality is what's going to trap you or free you. Okay? So watch what you decide and always assume, because you don't really know. I teach a thing called you make it up. We're making everything up. We make everything up. But no, Kim, this is what they said. Yeah, but what did they really mean? Or this is what happened, and this is what that means. How do you know that's what that means? Why don't you make up a different interpretation that serves you and serves them? Because you don't really know the truth in their heart of hearts. Does that make sense, you guys? Okay, August. So yeah, May DD. Gary, do you have something?
Well, yeah, I'll go. So you came home, you made your list, you started doing it. My guess is you picked up clients in that strategy because you were going so gung-ho and pushed that pedal to the metal. And then over the years, you built a big business. So what have you found that has worked? Like, okay, this works good, this works better. Seems to be the best when it comes to attracting people, I suppose, to both ends of the business, like attracting clients. Everyone here is good at, a lot of people here are EDs and above. They're good at getting clients. We're still looking for, obviously, more effective ways if we can, because that's always still a challenge. And then what about attracting coaches and what works best? And then we'll get into some of the leadership and mentor stuff.
Well, for me, I've always taught that if you can master client acquisition, in fact, I used to say client acquisition and client support. I would tweak that now because I'll tell you why in a minute. But I started with the health model. I rarely, and I know this maybe isn't how you guys do it now or what the prevalent teaching is now. I don't know exactly. Because let me just give you the upshot of where I'm at now. About 2 years ago, I'm an integrated presidential. You've seen the income disclosures, very accurate. and I worked my tail off. I worked hard for, 7 years, pretty much did the do. And I thought, you know what, we moved closer to be by our 4 grandkids. I just said, you know what, I'm going to just kind of step back, and I have a great team of leaders. And isn't that what we're all kind of doing this for? Do you guys want some freedom and leveraged income in your life? Yeah. So, and what's really cool about in the last 2 years, I wasn't sure what was going to happen to the income. I wasn't sure what was going to happen to the ED legs, or what was going to happen to the FIBIC legs, or what was going to happen to group volume. You never know, right? There's no crystal ball. But pretty much nothing has changed in 2 years, and I'm not driving it. See, that's what you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen when you're not driving anymore, right? And so, and I would think to myself, well, Kim, you're not duplicatable. And you're right. None of you are duplicatable. That's why you want to have a system. You want to have a process in place that is duplicatable, because systems can be duplicated. But what people buy is people. People buy people. People don't buy systems. So I don't care what system you're using. When you interact with people, they're listening and they're getting they're deciding about whatever it is based on you. And that's why personal development is so vitally, critically important. But in 2 years, yeah, still an integrated presidential. Group volume still about the same. Varies a little bit. Income's great right now. Like it's the highest it's ever been. And I'm not driving. Isn't that cool? Does that give you guys some, yeah, I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that to give you hope that there is what you're doing is matters and will create long-term sustainability. But so to your point, Gary, what is sustainable? Because as much as I love Facebook, and it is a great connector, hey, believe me, when Facebook came along, I used it, but I didn't rely on it. Okay? There's the difference. You can't rely on it, but use it like a tool, like one of many tools. And so what I would boil down my either client or coach acquisition principles to is, what are you excited about? This is what I train to every new coach. What are you excited about? Who are you going to tell, right? So what's your story? These are factors of success I teach. Let me just go to that really quick. Factors of success. For you, you're watching the new people coming in that are just blowing by you, or you're going, hey, what's wrong with me? How come I'm not a global yet? I've been in this business for 10 years or 5 years, and all these newbies are coming in and blah, blah, blah. Every convention, and recognition banquet, you probably sit there and want to just, stab your eyeballs out because everybody's being recognized for all this great stuff. And you're like, hey, I'm here every event. What's wrong with me? Anybody have those feelings at all? Yeah. So the factors of success to me have helped put that in perspective, because it's not, can you succeed? It's what are the factors that are going to determine how quickly these things happen for you? And there are factors. Number one is your story and your authentic delivery of your story. If you're not excited about your story, about what you have to offer, and it's a personal thing, it's not from a brochure or from, an opportunity call, it's you. What are you excited about? And so the story is like the number one factor of success. After a couple years, maybe there's some people that have put some weight back on. So maybe their original story doesn't work anymore. They feel out of integrity. They feel like, how come I'm not at my perfect weight yet? How come I didn't stay at my after weight like I thought, my fantasy mind thought that I was going to? Well, because you had a fantasy going that it was going to be easy, because you had easy stuff happen in early 5 and 1. But it doesn't stay that way, does it? Like, it becomes work. It becomes harder. So you got to reinvent your story. You got to rewrite your story. So, one of the ways that I have older, now and I get it, some of you are mostly, maybe you've been around. I know a lot of you have been around a while, but I don't know how time-wise some of you have been around. But either way, if you don't need what I'm saying right now, you're going to need it in a minute. So just put it over here and write it down for when, oh, that's what she meant. Because here's what I tell coaches that I work with that call me, or, we're mentoring, and they're like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, Kim. And guess what I tell them? I go, okay, quit. quit. Do it. Quit. And I mean it. I'm not doing this as a manipulation. I seriously mean quit. You know how many times I had to tell myself, okay, you know what? I'm done. I'm quitting. Quitting, not just retiring. Like, I'm done. And then guess what shows up? When you give yourself full permission to quit, guess what shows up inside you? All the reasons you don't want to. And that's what you want to get in touch with. Those are the sustainable things inside you, those intrinsic, but what about? Yeah, but what about? Okay, good. But you had to kind of go that direction to find those things. And once you can find those things and connect with them emotionally, that's when you get your power back. That's when you get your story back. But my story doesn't sound as good. You know what, you guys? That's all, again, in your chatter. What if, like, because I know there's a lot of people that struggle with keeping their weight off, right? And they think this is a weight loss business. So they think if I'm up 10 pounds or 20 pounds or whatever, I can't do this business anymore. But what if you're excited about being in a community of health-minded people that are going to be there for the rest of my life? Because you know what? The weight loss phase is the easy one. It's the rest of my life that's hard. It's until I die I'm going to be dealing with this. So what if I'm excited because I'm not in a weight loss business. If you want a weight loss business, there's many of those you can go participate in. But ours is like a health church in a way. Like, this is a group of people that are going to deal with their health and their weight and their heads until they die. And that's what I'm excited about. Do you want to come do it with me? And switch your story from, I'm going to help you. Because isn't that a trap to some people that are struggling with their weight? Like, how can I go say I'm going to help other people? I can't even figure out my own shit. I can't help someone else. Right? So what if you switch that paradigm to, well, wait, what if, because that's what I did, you guys, that first month in August, I never said, oh, I want to help you. That would have been so out of integrity for me because I did not have healthy habits. I was a junk food junkie. I hated exercise. I was stressed out, freaked out. The Habits of Health book wasn't even around, as if I would have read it anyway. I don't know. But, like, that wasn't in our world then. And so I was like, hey, this is what's happened to me. Start with my story, whatever it was at the time. I'm so excited because I actually see things happening for me, but I know it's short-lived if I don't do something. So want to come do it? It's easier to do it with a friend. Want to come do it with me? If they perked up at all, I would say, come do it with me. Let's do it together. So if that helps you switch your paradigm to finding people to help, to finding people to come help support you as much as you're supporting them. Seriously, we would do that. We called ourselves the power losers. This was my initial group of friends that we only had email, and we only emailed and hit reply all every other day or whatever. How you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? And I was one of them. I wasn't a one up, one down thing. I wasn't helping them any more than they were helping me. So these are part of reinventing your story and watching to see how you have things wired right now and making up a new interpretation. Like, I don't have to be the expert. I can be one of you. Let's do it together. Or I can struggle with my weight still and own it. How many of you feel like you could call your client and say, you know what? I'm struggling too. I'm just like you. So can we do this together? Like, coaches are just people that are helping people and they're helping each other. It doesn't mean I have to know and be an expert at all this. So factors of success, story. Reinvent your story, redefine your story, reconnect with your story. And then how you tell that story matters. Like when I would practice a new coach's story with them, I would have them tell, okay, what's your story? I just say, what's your story? And they would tell me, and I'd say, don't tell me like you're giving me commentation. Don't say it like you're a commentator. Tell me your story like how you would tell your friend. Tell it to me. Well, okay, I'm really excited. I'm lost 30 pounds in, 2 minutes, and I'm off 10 medications. And I'm like, well, are you excited about that? Tell your voice. Because again, people buy your story. People are buying you. I'm a theater director. If you guys went to the movies and everyone talked in a monotone, dead, dry voice, it would not invoke any emotion in the listener. You've got to give it the authentic emotion when you tell your story. Be passionate. And you don't have to be passionate like I am or like anybody else. For you, be passionate for you and say it. Tell your story in an authentic emotion. So that's number one. Number two is people. How many people do you know? How many people are you E.F. Hutton? When you speak, what's your credibility level with these people? You know, some people are very shy, very introverted, very much, they've never really liked people or been around people. They might have 47 friends on Facebook, you know, and you may ask them to make a list of their names and they come up with, 13. Well, you know what? That's going to impact your level of success. Dan Valentine, for example, he's a pastor of thousands of member church. So his credibility is very high. What did he lose? Like 90 pounds or something? He melted away in front of all these people that had huge credibility. You match the story and the people factors together and the stars all align there. That's what happens. People go crazy on Facebook and they can get a lot of clients. Some of those turn into coaches, but those are factors of success. And the third factor of success is personal development. How much are you willing to work on yourself? When I say work on yourself, sometimes that's ambiguous. People don't know what that means. Let me give you some ideas of what work on yourself means. Stop believing your thoughts. That's probably sums up work on yourself. Stop believing. Because when you realize that your thoughts are not the truth, and you never knew that because you are trapped by your thoughts. So this is an exercise of like mindfulness. The mindfulness idea is that you're going to observe your thought. Here's your thoughts. Oh, I'm never good at that. What are people going to think? They're going to think I'm bugging them. They're going to think I'm selling them. They're going to think I'm calling them fat. Those are your thoughts. When you go up to this level, and you just watch those thoughts happen, instead of align with them. Does that make sense, you guys? Learn how to observe your thought, and it takes some practice. And I love how Gary started this call with deep breathing. Breathing deep is a huge key to, number one, calming down the chatter, and number two, learning how to observe it for what it is, because most people don't even know that their thoughts aren't the truth. So therefore they keep just replaying them, and muscle memory kicks in, and this is who I am, and I've never been good at that, and I can't ever do that. And so here's how to word the observation of your thoughts. This is just a languaging around it for you, is instead of saying, oh, what if they think I'm bugging them? What if they think I'm calling them fat, right? That's the stream of thought. This is how you can watch it and go, isn't that interesting that I think people are thinking I'm calling them fat? Isn't that interesting that I think I suck at these kinds of things? Isn't that interesting how my chatter says blah, blah, blah? Do you see how you've separated out yourself? This is the scientist example I'm showing you, is when you catch yourself making an assumption, deciding on something, which it's just going to drive you without any, you're not going to even pay attention to it. It's not chatter, Kim. You know how many people I've talked to and say, it's not chatter, it's the truth. But you don't know, Kim, it's the truth. I know it feels like the truth because it's familiar. And you have lots of evidence to support it. Because, this is a whole nother field. In fact, I'm going to put a little plug in here right now for why I'm even in Southern California right now is I'm coming to, we're doing an event Friday and Saturday in Ontario. All day Friday is going to be me talking about, I've got a book, blah, blah, blah. So it's a shameless plug, okay, for the book. One way you can get the book when it's ready, but it's The Monster Under the Bed. And it's how to identify the lies that have created, this hole in our soul that everybody I've ever talked to or worked with has this buried lie. that on some level I'm not good enough. I'm not okay. I'm not something enough. And that has been the monster under the bed nobody wants to look at. In fact, we've created lots of survival mechanisms to avoid looking at that. And that's what All Day Friday. So if you can come, if you're in California, or if you want to get on a plane and come to California, you're welcome to. But this is and I don't have time to go into everything, but this is exactly huge pieces of it. Like, detach from your thoughts. Our brain's job is to actually go find evidence to support what you believe. So if you believe you suck at public speaking, or at you're not good at losing weight or anything, you're only going to see the data that supports your belief. Your husband's a slob, your wife's a shopaholic, like whatever labels and beliefs you've told your brain is true, anything of significance you have given your brain, its job, it doesn't care if what you're saying is true or not. That's not its job. Its job is to find supporting evidence. It's your reticular activating system. And I call them bloodhounds. And the bloodhounds have spent their whole life giving you what you've told it is true and giving you evidence. So I'm not doubting that you've got miles and pages of evidence to support what you believe is true about you. But what you're not seeing is any contrary evidence, because your brain doesn't bring you contrary evidence. It doesn't show you the times you didn't suck. Or if it did, guess what you did with it? You went, oh man, that was probably a fluke, because that's not like me. Like, oh, that was probably weird. That's going to never happen again. Right? You downplay it because it's not the belief you've told it. So once you start looking at those beliefs instead of aligning with them, things start, it's painful on one hand. It's painful. This is why personal development is so critical, because you're never going to mentor another coach or a person or have a relationship with your kids or your family or any conflicts in your life at all. You're never going to effectively do that as long as you're attached to these beliefs and listening to the chatter. Unless you know how to separate this out, it'll be tough. It's going to be a tough road. And with those skills, you can pretty much navigate any challenge in your life. It's magic. It's unreal. It's unbelievable, the changes. But there's a whole world that exists out there that you don't know about until you do this personal development. That's the third factor of success. How much time do you spend listening to this information like I'm saying to you, reading books, listening to like Jim Rohn, go to personal development people, and they're all going to say some stuff differently, but just notice what resonates with you. When people say, Kim, what book should I read? What suggestions? I'm like, you know what? Go to Barnes and Noble and look at the personal development section and see which one pops out at you. Because honestly, nobody teaches you anything. Nobody teaches you anything. It's when you put yourself in an open, like, okay, what don't I know that I don't know? That's where the ahas happen. Ahas don't happen in, I know, I agree, I disagree. Oh yeah, I know that. Oh, I know I don't know that, and that's okay. Oh, I know that. Oh, I know I don't know that. Ahas happen when you go, how many of you have had those experiences where you go, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that I didn't know that. And then what's the thought that comes right after that? How many other things do I not know that I don't know? Holy cow, that is unsettling, isn't it? Because what if my whole life has been built on a lie? What if these things that I'm basing my whole identity on are not even true? Oh, it's unsettling. And it's not for the faint of heart. I'm going to scare you about it. But honestly, that's where freedom comes from. And it's a monster under your bed, you guys. There's nothing there. Like, it's all a lie to begin with. And once you go, oh, I had a person tell me, you better not tell me there's not a monster there, Kim. That better not be the point of your book. And I go, really? Why? And he said, because it will make me feel like my whole life has been for nothing. Like everything I have done, mistakes, beliefs, reactions, things, ways everything about my life if there's not a monster there, that's going to be very painful for me. I go, well, interesting. Well, you could go ahead, keep that monster as long as you want, you know? Like, it's not going to, because until you're ready, this is my point. Nobody's going to teach you. No self-help book's going to fix you. No sermon's going to fix you. Nothing's going to fix you until you've opened up, and then it's you that fixes you. It's you. It's the deep part of you that will come up and say, oh, you know, and it could be, I've been fixed by a billboard, you guys. Like, I was in a deep, deep, deep quandary, but I was keeping myself open. Okay, I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I know it will. I know it will. I don't know how. And I passed a billboard one day that said, doors now open. And honestly, that struck me like from God, like lightning from God. And I went, oh, doors now open. And it connected all these dots inside me. And I lived with that phrase all day long. And by the end of the day, I had my quandary completely figured out. And it would take way too long to give you the specifics of it. But if I hadn't stayed in openness, if I hadn't let myself not beat myself up and listen to all the lies of the chatter, the thoughts running through, if I'd stayed with my thoughts, I would never have stayed in the open place. And then the billboard hit, and the billboard reminded me, doors now open, just stay there, stay there. I went back later, and it was a Wells Fargo ad talking about opened on Saturday mornings now from 9 to noon. I went, wait, it's supposed to be my message from God. It's not supposed to be Wells Fargo. Anyway. All right, Gary, I'm coming up for air. What do you
Are you trying to ask Denise, are you trying to ask a question? You're muted. I'm going to unmute you.
I got it. Kim, that was fabulous. Thank you. I have been in the back of the room running at your talk the last minute and not gotten a seat. So I totally appreciate that Gary was sharing that, because people on the call that haven't been in the audience when you speak have missed out. Kim, so tell me about, I love the 3 phases that you said. Tell me how you make the leap as a good coach to a good business leader.
Well, again, it has to do with you not attaching to this thing. There's an expectation now. See, if you're all EDs, you've already made this leap from how many of you, when you first started acquiring clients and then the clients started to struggle, or, you know, how many of you took it personal and went,
oh yeah. In the same with the coaches too. Even, you know, I mean, we've had tons and tons of EDs come and go. And I can't even imagine why they would leave, because I feel like you do. I will always be a part of this business. But people who have successful businesses that kind of let it go because, you know, something happens in their life, and I'm always astounded by that. And, you know, it's been 7 years for us, so we've had a lot of EDs come and go. We have some that we've had since day one that have, you know, are fantastic. But yeah, I definitely take it personally when they come and go, for sure.
Yeah, and some of it is strategic thinking. Sorry, I'm going to just move over here. Some of it is a strategic plan, and some of it is a lot of it is the brain stuff. So sorry, I'm trying to find a place. So strategic is, I've always looked at people as either a leader or a doorway. So, and I love them all. And it's whatever. It's the parable of the sower. You know what I mean? Like, it's completely the parable of the sower. If you don't know the parable of the sower, it's too much for me to tell you right now, but go look in YouTube. Here's the best place to go listen to about the parable of the sower as it relates to this business. Jim Rohn, parable of the sower. Rohn is R-O-H-N. Some of you, if you don't know Jim Rohn, it's who I cut my personal development eye teeth on. Like, he's dead now, but parable of the sower, Jim Rohn. But that's really, I've always treasured people. People are my treasure. And I don't mean that in a monetary way. Like, I seriously, every person, but I can't attach to their success. Just like how when you've had to detach from your clients' struggles, you know, they've been struggling, you have to go, well, it's your journey, right? And I'm going to get more, but, and you come back when you're ready, right? You leave the relationship intact, make sure they know you love them and they'll come back. So coaches, what happens is when you start sponsoring coaches, now you can't grow in the compensation plan, your recognition, the titles, all these things that drive, the monster drives on these things. Like seriously, this is deep stuff and you want it for you. You can't do that without other people becoming EDs, right? In this business model, you can't become a global. So when you sponsor a new coach, potentially driving that whole thing is, okay, here's my next ED. Okay, this is what's going to get me to global. This is what's going to get me to Costa Rica. This is what's going to get me, Dr. A will love me or whatever those chatter messages are. So what happens is that equates in the relationship to them doing what you want them to do. Come on, get that list done. Are you getting me your map? Come on, are you getting on the training Zoom? Let's go. Come on, we got to get some 3-way calls set up. Like, it's all now about you becoming something based on, and I'm not saying that this is true for everybody, but potentially this is, without being mindful of this is what's playing out, is it's about you and not them. So what I suggest you do is have a mindset is I look at every new coach as a kit buyer. Okay. They're a kit buyer. I don't know what they're going to do. And it doesn't matter what they do. Like, I'm totally here for you and I will help you get started. And I know how to do this business. It's posturing. It's telling, hey, I know how to do this. Let's just start with a few. Don't freak them out by saying, oh, let's get to ED your first month. Like, that's just my personal suggestion. If someone's going to get to ED their first month, they're going to do it. They don't need you to prime that pump. I've seen people that just do it, but it'll save them from being freaked out if you start them. That's my suggestion.
No, and I appreciate that a lot, but I think I've actually done that too much to the extreme. Gary's my business leader, so he's probably cracking up. I always say I went to global real fast, but not always staying there. But I think it was by accident because I just surrounded myself with really successful people who took off. It's the people that might have it in them that I can't. So in other words, I've attracted, I think, really successful people already that financially don't need this business, and therefore a lot of them haven't stayed. So I need to try to figure out how to do like you have. I love you, but I also love a lot of your leaders, and they have huge whys. So maybe what I'm doing as a business leader, I'm not establishing that why, or it's not strong enough in the beginning, because I definitely don't feel like I'm dragging my team along. I feel like I have some leaders that have gone straight to ED on their own that I've done very little other than support them in the level that they wanted. But they haven't been people that I feel like I've developed. Does that make sense, Kim?
Absolutely. And so I wouldn't call an ED a leader.
Regionals. Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't even call a global, Denise, I wouldn't even call a global a leader. I don't call anybody
I agree with that.
A leader because to your point, you have a doctor model. There's a lot of doctor situations here where we can get to ED really quickly, and that produces globals and even presidentials. So but see, if you look at it and go, well, what are they doing? Are they building it sustainably? Like a doctor model isn't sustainable. You got about a year and a half and that office is over. Like if you don't go find a leader in that group, and I don't mean, so yeah, maybe they don't have a why. I haven't found it ultra helpful, especially in the early days of a new coach, to dig deep for their why. That's my personal opinion, because they don't even know what's happening. They just think this is fun. Why did they become a coach? Most of them just wanted to help a few people. Most of them just wanted to tell their friends they were excited. They just wanted, if I could make $500, oh, that would be great. So digging deep for someone's why initially has never really proven successful for me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it really hasn't. Like, I just say, let's just do it. Let's just have fun. They don't want another job, you guys. Sometimes I think the pressure we put on these new coaches to get on all these training Zooms and get on all these 3-way calls and come on, rah, 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 rah. It's like, oh my gosh, I just wanted to tell my friend and help a few people. And now you're turning this in like you're my boss. Some new coaches feel this kind of pressure. And it's like, I just want to do something fun. I just want it to be fun. So that's why keeping that new coach, even in the mindset of having people come do it with me. Come do it with me. Don't even have them go feel the pressure of being a health coach. Do you know that being a health coach is actually a profession? like that people actually go to school to actually get actual degrees and certification. We take 100-question test and call ourselves certified, but there's a whole profession called health coaching. But this person that's just lost 10 of their 80 pounds, don't put this kind of pressure on them to be this health coach guru. What if you just kept them in a mindset of being a finder? Come find your support group. Let's just build a support group for you and keep them in let Gary help let Gary do the videos that are going to, that's what I see happening. There are certain people in the health coach ranks of our company that are absolutely qualified to be health coaches, that know exactly the strategies and the tips and the tools that's not me. It's still not me. I'm an integrated presidential, but I don't feel qualified in many ways to be now that I've learned about the mind and the brain. Oh my gosh, I can totally see it from a different perspective, because I see how many times people beat themselves up and people start gaining weight back. And then it's all based on fear. Oh, I can't put my weight back on. Oh, guess what? Coming from that energy and that emotion, you have no hope but putting your weight back on. You will never not put your weight back on when you come from panic and fear and I'm a health coach and I make money now and I better be in integrity. Oh my gosh, for a person that isn't transformed into this healthy minded person yet, like that gets all the health stuff, they'll have a very hard time not putting weight back on. You got to shift them completely out of this mindset of having to be the expert and the guru and to go help their friends. They can't. They're over in the corner eating bonbons. You know what I mean? They're not calling their people supporting their clients because they don't think, wait, I don't have any idea of what to tell you. That's a lot of our field of coaches, because they're just clients that wanted to help a few people. So keep them in that mindset of let's just help a few people. Now the ones that are going to go, they're going to go like this. This is going to sound like them. They're going to go, oh my gosh, there's more people, Kim. I got 10 new clients. I got 10 clients. Holy cow. How do I take care of these people? Well, you know what? Let's figure out some strategies of client support. It's no big deal. We can do it. Don't worry about it. And honestly, a health coach is important. Don't get me wrong. But on a scale from 1 to 10, for that client's success, what number would you give the absolute necessity of having a rock star health coach to the success of that client? What number? Like, you can have difference, but most people I talk to,
2.
Yeah, it comes in around 5 or 6, maybe. Yeah, but you're right. Because if they're going to do it, they're going to seek you out. They're going to get the help they need. They're going to call you. They're going to be there. And maybe there's a call you can make where they know you love them and they're there for you. You're there for them. But honestly, it's up to them, isn't it? So all this pressure we carry that, we must suck because our clients aren't answering our calls or our clients are putting weight back on. Well, it's just kind of how it is. So from a health coach business leader position, you want to go find people that, to Denise, your point about these people that, came and went, maybe they didn't have a financial reason. Strategy wise, I'm down there looking for who they know. That's why I like client story calls. I was one of the ones that created the whole client story call, and maybe they're called celebration calls now. I call them story because I would do these calls with people who didn't feel like celebrating. I wanted to know their story, and even if that meant they were struggling. But that way it connected the mentor coach with that health coach that we don't know if it's going to be there tomorrow or not, with that client. And then client support Facebook groups were magical. Because if everyone's putting their clients in these Facebook groups of client support, which I hope you all do or try to, that's where I can go in and actually work and build these relationships with these people that are treasures to me. And if that health coach doesn't set up that client story call, I'm in that Facebook group saying, good job. And, I'd love to hear your story. I'm a coach on your support team. Could I hear your story? And I'd actually just make the connection with that client if this intermediate coach doesn't do it or goes away, or because I'm a finder. I'm going to be a finder down those.
Okay, so I think I just heard your key words then, is you're a finder. I mean, I think that's digging deep and finding the treasures. That's it. So that's your talent set that I don't have. I've been blessed with great people, but it wasn't anything that I did. I don't feel that I have any credit for that.
Well, but so that's okay, because we're just moving forward, and it's just data gathering, right? So you're not good at it yet, but you're good at anything you do. So once you start understanding, oh, then that's what I'm going to do. I'd always send my client support email down dead health coach's legs. I always sent, like if a health coach stopped communicating with me, I'd send them a little email and say, you know what, I'm going to just offer another layer of support to your clients. So, and if I didn't hear back, and sometimes I'd hear back from them and they'd go, what? You can't do that. I go, well, and in the doctor model, Denise, I don't know what you can do with HEPA and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. But for my world, because I didn't have a lot of doctor stuff, I just said, I'm just going to offer another layer of support. And I'm here for you if ever you, because that health coach was struggling. That's why they didn't offer support to their clients. So their clients shouldn't suffer. So I did. I don't know that it made a hill of beans difference, honestly. Some of them would write back and say, hey, I'd like to get started, but I haven't heard from my health coach. I'd like to restart again. I'd never moved people to me from, I left them under that health coach because I didn't want to take them from them. And I thought, I'm going to put a spark under that health coach and hopefully reinvigorate the whole leg, put the whole leg, keep a sparkler down there. I never moved them to me. I just supported them down there. So these are just strategy things that you can do or not do. But honestly, the mindset of I'm looking for a leader. And how do you know who a leader is? I don't care what they tell me. A leader is someone who responds back, who throws the ball back, who dances, who does the dance, who doesn't call me with a bunch of excuses, who calls me, who says, hey, what now? What now? What now? And then my energy towards all coaches is I'm going with or without you. I don't need you. And I love you, but I don't need you. Because the minute a coach thinks that you need them, they're not, it's like playing hard to get back in high school. The minute you want them too much, they're not interested. It's like, wait, this now all of a sudden feels like it's about you and not me. And I just want to do this because I want to do it. And okay, great. If you're there, great. And if you see a coach doing something completely wrong that you know is wrong and it's not going to work, not wrong like illegal or unethical. I'm just saying, like strategies that don't work. It's easy for us to go, oh, don't do that. Oh, that's wrong. Don't do that. But don't do that. Just because that might be the next thing they need to do to know what doesn't work, right? And just say, I'm here if you need me. I might have some strategies that'll help you, but however you want to do it is however you want to do it. And I'm just here to help you. And then you keep going. When they see you having more coaches that you're working with and that are succeeding, and they're going to get it. They're going to go, oh, maybe I should listen to her. But as long as you need them, they're not interested. Yeah, Gary?
I was just going to ask, so you said a lot right there, which was really great. And one of the things that you mentioned was your Facebook support group. So what I'd like, because our time is, we're a little bit over time, but I love that you're giving us time. That's great. We're all here learning and loving this. Can you give us some strategies, not like how-tos, but like say, you go, well, you know your story, you do client story calls. Like these are like the foundational pieces. You get your Facebook group. Now in your Facebook group, do you have one or do you have your coaches do their own? Or do you guys try to all go into one big conglomerate group, And then what other specific strategies, not how-tos, but we do this, we do this, we do this, and we kind of systemize that.
Yeah, learn the hard way about that too. You want the Facebook groups as big as possible because they're just not going to be exciting. And coaches are going to vacillate and they're going to go, I'm going to take my clients and go over here. And again, if they want to do what they want to do, let them do it. But just say, well, okay. And they come back. I just had a coach bring about 20 more clients back into the group because she thought it was going to work. And they're tough to honestly get going, to be honest. But if you have a group of coaches and leaders that are committed and you got to kind of keep reminding them, hey, let's go. This is everybody's group. This isn't daycare. Don't drop your people in here and then just, go away. It takes energy to keep these things going. And once, if you have a big group and there's a lot of new people being added and excitement, those old people, I look at it like as connections. The people that are in there, I don't take people out ever. Like I never take a client out. And a lot of people will put even lurkers in that aren't even clients yet. They'll put them in so they can kind of see what's happening. If it's an active group, there's no real pat answer here because every group is so different. But, you've got to have some protocols, like don't coach another person's client, but you can encourage them. I mean, you can just say, great job. That's not coaching them. And there's going to be problems. There'll be people that'll want to switch. And I mean, anytime there's really good being done, there's going to be the opposite stuff happening of like problems. And you're just going to have to be willing to negotiate the problems. It's Liz Gilbert in her book, Big Magic, calls it shit sandwiches. Anytime you create something awesome, there's going to be a shit sandwich to eat, because there always is. So you kind of have to just navigate through the negative parts of it if the juice is worth the squeeze, in a way. So, but man, client support groups are phenomenal for building relationships.
And so you do client story calls, Facebook support groups, and so you're just sharing, if a leader is going to show themselves because they're bouncing the ball back, right? That's kind of, you're not trying to push them any farther, and then you're just waiting for them to bounce the ball back, and if they do, you run with them. That's what you were saying earlier, right?
Yeah. And you want to give them some early wins. I'm not saying to not salt their oats in a way, like, in fact, Brian said to me the first month after I got 23 new clients my first month, the next month I called him and I said, okay, Brian, I'm ADD. Now what? And he goes, now, Kim, tell all those people how much you made. And I went, oh, okay. So I did. I made what? $2,100 my first month as an ED. So on my client support calls with the people the next month, I said, hey, my gosh, you know what's happened? I mean, I just was telling my story and just gathering people to come do this with me. And the company paid me $2,100 last month. Holy smokes. Does that interest you at all? Like, it'd be fun. Like, cause you've got people that probably want to do it with you. And then I would just salt their oats. Right. But you can't, they're not clairvoyant. People don't know. And if you're making 10,000 or something a month right now, don't tell them that. But I would tell them what I would make, what I made early on. Like, hey, I made $800 my first month, just helping a few people. I would have helped even if they hadn't paid me, like just those kinds of things. Those things really stick with people. As long as they don't feel that you are attached to them doing it. You've got to stay unattached, you guys. Like, just tell the story, parable of the sower, throw the seed out there and keep sowing the seed and stay pure in your seed. Keep the seed pure. And that means keep your story pure, keep it exciting, keep it honest, authentic. And then those that are ready will come. And when they are ready, they will come when they're ready. You'll have credit card throwers now and people that'll come 5 years later. And, but anyway, so.
Can you give us an example of, or a couple of salting your oats?
Like that, like tell people what you earn. That's a salting of the oats. But don't go deep into like, oh, well, what would that mean for you? Unless you feel led to do that. But don't, just stay unattached. That's the best way I can say it. Like, don't make it seem like you're selling them. Don't sell them. Just talk. Just say what is, and they'll connect their own dots. They will connect their own dots. People are smart. You can say, like at the end of a client story call, for example, this is how I taught to do it. I hate to say never, very rarely did I go in for the kill in terms of like, did I make a strong invitation for that client to become a coach? I tried to. My training taught, not that I didn't do it if I felt inspired otherwise, but my intention going into that client story call was that I was just going to be authentic in my excitement of supporting that client. That was my number one. If I'm using this as a ploy to get coaches, then I think there's a problem right there. I think we're not authentic. And I think that new person, that client's going to feel it, the coach is going to smell it, and they're going to go, oh, I know what you're doing. You're just trying to get coaches. Now, did coaches come from it? Yes. But I always had to make sure my motive was, it's fine if they become a coach or if they know about it. I'm really here to support that client. That's my personal feeling. So the client would tell their story. I'd ask for their story. I'd ask them if they'd want to hear my story. They always said yes. And in my story, I had some stuff about being a coach in my story, which was authentic and true. And then depending on their response and what they said back, I would say, well, you know what, Susie Q, which was the coach that set this call up, their coach, I'd say, you know what, Susie Q can talk to you more about it. I would love to have you. You'd be great. It'd be fun to have you on the team. But you know what, Susie can tell you more about it, send you some more information. Thank you for sharing your story. Can we talk again another time? Okay, bye. Like, I got off the call. I did not go in and say, as a rule, now sometimes I might have, but my training said, to say, okay, so you know what, I'd love to talk to you again and hear more of your story, which I knew that was true. And then if Susie was a newer coach, I'd let Susie know what information to send to that client. And then, like, just plant the seed. And I didn't say, hey, well, how about becoming a coach today? How about let's just do this right now? I didn't do that as a rule. I really wanted to keep it clean and pure, that it was really supporting them in their journey. And I wanted another call with them because I know most of them are going to come later anyway. Or if they're ready right now, they're going to go, well, how do I become a coach right now? All right, well, let's do it now then, right? But it was their credit card throwing more than my. Does that make sense? I don't know how you guys are doing it, and I don't want to make you feel wrong. There really isn't wrong or right. It's really just what feels right to you. And I just want to give you another example of how that's what felt right to me.
Well, there's no wrong or right, but there is more effective and less effective. And that we can prove. That's measurable, right? It's not wrong. It just might be less effective. But
yeah, but if you're doing something that doesn't feel right to you, it will not be effective.
Correct.
Even if it's effective for somebody teaching a class, they might see great results because they feel good about it. But if people don't feel good about what they're doing, it won't work. So
that's true. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask Kim before we wrap this up? Because I do personally have another meeting I got to get to as well. If anybody has a question, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask anything specific. I know somebody asked when your book's ready. When's it available?
When's the book? And Kim, thank you so much because your time is so valuable. I appreciate you giving our team the time. That's pretty awesome.
Well, I love you guys. I love Gary. I love Greg and Whitten. Just great. I love these people. Love all y'all. All right.
Just wanted to thank you. Also, Kim, you're one of the first people that I met at convention. You were standing in the back of the room with a stroller with one of your grandchildren, and you just totally started talking to me like you were my coach, and I was just like, wow, I don't even know her, and she's being so nice to me. I've always held a spot for you in my heart. Just want to thank you.
Thank you.
And yes, I was the one who asked when your book will be available.
Yeah, I don't have my glasses. I left them in that. I can't see the chat. So I'm hoping the end of July. I'll be posting on Facebook about it, end of July or the end of August, somewhere in there. But you're all welcome to come Friday to Ontario if anyone lives in Southern California and wants to come. It's not full yet, so I'd love to have anybody that wants to come. Friday is all going to be about Monster Under the Bed. Saturday is going to be all Take Shape for Life training. But it's interesting what happens at events that are not Take Shape for Life events. The training, like Jamil and Amber and Jan Paxman, like these are leaders on my team that are going to be doing the training on Saturday. But it's going to be very transformational training. It's going to be more of that head stuff than actual, tactical stuff that you can learn on other stuff. So it'll be a great event if you can come. Another plug for that. But the book will be out hopefully soon. It's been quite a growing experience for me.
Wow.
To do it.
My experience as so far in the 5 years that I've been coaching, the head stuff is where it's at.
All where it is. Yeah.
Dr. has always said it's an inside job.
The 3 hardest pounds to deal with.
Exactly.
So I wanted to personally thank you for all your little provoking questions that you pop up on Facebook. It sort of generates, for me, we get into conversations that really are sort of head conversations. It's really helped me step back. Even though they're not Take Shape for Life questions, they're life questions. So Kim, when you have mentioned all of those little provoking things, and I've gotten into conversations back and forth with you on Facebook, it has always been a learning experience for me. So don't stop doing that.
I probably won't. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me on, Gary.
Well, Kim, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time. We know it's not in your financial interest to help us, but I'm so happy that we have such a great friendship that you're willing to do it for us. So
absolutely.
I'm going to do my best to try to go this weekend. Every life is crazy when you have a 5-year-old, you know that. So everything's always challenging, but I wouldn't want to miss that for the world. I can't wait to read your book. And I wanted to tell my son about the monster under his bed, but at 5 years old, he's not quite ready for that phrase.
Yeah. But you guys, I hope to see you all at convention, and And that's going to be a monumental occasion. So anyway, love you. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you so much, Kim. You take care. Have a great day and a great meeting in this weekend.
Okay.
Thank you so much.